Welcome to the distance learning session on the second part of the Credo of the Harmoniemesse. You start singing at the Vivace halfway between figures E and F, but you will hear Michael playing the last 6 bars of the previous slow solo section to give you the lead in. As befits the words about the resurrection, this is a very joyous and energetic passage, not too tricky, at least as far as the final fugue just before figure L. The initial section is mainly in separated phrases, so there's not too much breathing to be marked in. In the second bar of the Vivace, all take a quick breath or at least phrase off before the words secundum, and then the same again after celum in bar 5 before the repeat of the words. 3 before F, sopranos and altos, please take a quaver out of the tris of partris. Again, the words are repeating, but tenors and basses sing through that phrase, partly because you'll not need a breath and partly because of the way the broad chords work. Be ready for the phrases 4 and 5 after F. This is an easy place to miss an entry or come in doubling the time values. Tenors and basses, watch out for the D flat in the 9th bar after F. This is a surprising key change and a strange dramatic chord. In the copy I'm working from, this is at a page turn. Either way, be ready. Altos, be ready for the surprise E natural here too, and then 2 bars later the surprise B natural. Haydn is bringing out all the complicated chords in this passage. 6 before G, a quaver breath after mortuos, but then 2 bars later, no gap after finis. We normally break where the words repeat, but this would spoil the flow here. 1 bar before G, there's a radical chord shift, and everyone has to be careful to pitch the first note of the bar. Let me just show you that. So this is 1 bar before G. So overall it sounds... So sopranos, which is the easiest part, the altos, changing from G flat to G natural, tenors, which is sort of easy, but it clashes with the sopranos, and then the basses. So that's chromatic G flat, F, E natural. Before H and 1 before H, no breath either time, please. 5 before I, quaver breath after adoratur, then 2 bars later, again after conglorificatur, but no breath after after est in the next bar. 3 bars after I, no breath after catholicam. 8 after K, obviously breathe after the pause, and then there'll be a writ in the last 3 bars before the new section. At the Vivace 6/8 section, we are into another exhilarating and slightly more tricky fugue. This is perhaps the second hardest section of the piece after the end of the Gloria that we did a couple of sessions ago. Again, every time the main tune or subject comes, it needs to be pronounced, it needs to be heard in the texture. And every time there's no breath between seculi and amen, but always a breath after the amen, whether it's repeating amen, as in the basses 5 before L, or going back to et vitam, as in the altos, in the bar of L. This rule deals, you'll be pleased to hear, with nearly all the breathing right to the end of the movement. Another issue is the 5th note of this main tune. Sometimes it drops a 4th, like the basses and altos first entries. So, just find my place. Here's the basses. Et vitam venturi seculi. And the altos, the same, an octave higher. But sometimes it drops a 5th. Here's the soprano lead, which is the same as the tenors. I'm singing down the octave. Et vitam venturi seculi. So vitam ventur is pampa, but the soprano and tenor one going down a 5th. So don't imitate what you've just heard and don't copy what you sang last time. Make sure you know whether it's a fourth or a fifth drop. In this section, Haydn has varied the way the tune starts. Mostly it starts on the beat, as per the bass tune that we just, well, as per all the tunes that we just heard. But on a couple of occasions, it starts after the beat on a syncopation. Look at the bar just before L in the sopranos. Here, the first note comes after the beat. So it's 1, 2, et vitam ventur, not 1, et vit, but 1, 2, et vitam ventur. And then the tenors have a similar one in the fifth bar of L. So it goes 1, 2, 1, et vitam ventur. Okay, so watch out for those two. If you come in on the beat, in other words, early, you will clash with the harmonies underneath you and likely to be derailed. So make sure those two are right. I think that's the only two of those in the movement. Watch out for the amens as we progress, which have continuous quavers with lots of ties. These are tricky and need work. There's too many of them to go over every one in detail, but here's a couple of examples. Listen and follow the tenors from the first bar after M. Let's find that. So the first bar after M, this is how the tenors go. Amen, amen, amen. So da ba 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 ba. So difficult to bring off. Not something you could probably read at sight. You have to be very familiar with what it sounds like. Another example is the sops running up to figure O. I will play the soprano part from 6 before O. This is a great passage to sing once you've got it, but you'll need to be on top of it. Here it is 6 before O, and I'm bashing out the beat with my other hand. This is a great passage to sing once you've got it, but you do need to be on top of it. Somehow the basses are spared this figure, but all other parts, watch out for these and give them special attention. 8 and 11 after O, you will see that Haydn has helpfully provided 6 bars out of the whole mass where the score asks for 2 extra soloists. We're going to cheat doing this, having the altos sing full in 8 after O with the 2 soloists above them, and then 11 after O, the bass is full with the 2 solos above them. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what Haydn actually intended anyway. On the video, I think you'll hear just the top 2 solo parts sung on the video, but as the altos and basses have the normal tune here, it shouldn't be a problem. In the third bar after P, altos and basses, please make sure you have the rhythm here. Again, just finding my place. So the altos have 1, amen, 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 and the basses, amen, amen. So be ready with that little syncopation. And exactly the same thing 4 bars from the end. Finally, on the last 2 amens, the exact length it says, please, with the N on the quaver. So we're talking amen, amen. That's the bass part, whatever your notes may be. Amen, amen. And there won't be any kind of slow up there, I don't think. We'll save slowing up for the end of the final movement. The end of the Gloria, which we did a couple of weeks ago, a couple of sessions ago, and the passage we're on today are the hardest parts of the Mass. The final 2 sessions still to come will be rather easier in terms of getting the notes learned. So next time we will look at the Sanctus and Benedictus. This may seem a lot, but the Sanctus is short and half of it is sung by soloists anyway. So see you then.